What's up, Sean? This is going to be an interesting one because I think, if I remember correctly, Sean gets himself into a little quandary playing aces sort of cagey. Is that right, Sean?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. So this is 510 at the Bellagio. Is that right?
Yeah. 5:10 at the Bellagio
Okay.
Thursday night. And, I'm the effective sack with 2350.
Okay.
The main villain has both of us covered, and the other villain has 500. Um, so middle position just limps, and it gets round to the small blind, and he bets 50. And I have in the big blind, I have ace of diamonds, ace of clubs, and I basically just a bit of information on the player that's limped. He's a super action player, and everybody's trying to sort of get into hands with him. So I decide to limp with my aces,
You mean you
hoping
call?
that he,
You call,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I
So
decide to,
the guy in mid position is the one that's got 2350. Is that right? This action
he
player.
no, I'm the one. I have 2350. He has me covered.
Right. 2350 effective, but
Yeah,
so the small blind who only has 500. He
he
raises.
only has. Yeah,
Okay.
he raises
So
50. I call,
right, you call. Okay. And MP
and he
calls.
ends up in behind. Correct.
Okay. So, I mean, obviously this is sort of non-standard, but I have called with the aces before in some unique scenarios when you look at it and you say, "Oh, like let's think of a scenario where we might flat with aces pre-flop, right?" And the times that you would do that would be if the stacks were just incredibly short. And here you've got a very, very short stack in the sort of small blind, right? And then you've got this other guy that seems to be leaking a lot of money. I think some of the newer players don't experience this as much as maybe some of us old school guys, where, and again, this is not, it doesn't happen all that much, but there are times, if you can picture a time when a guy might be losing 30 big blinds an hour, if not more actually in live poker, right? And 30 big blinds
Right.
per, where you might make what on paper looks like sort of a negative EV value play with a certain hand because there's actually more future value to keep that guy who will be making mistakes and compounding huge mistakes in the hand itself.
Correct.
So
Right.
I think some people don't. I mean, I'll just give you that background. So it's 150, right, to the flop.
Right. It's
Okay.
150 to the flop.
Uh huh.
The flop comes deuce of clubs, three of hearts, seven of spades.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The small blind now bets 70, and I just flat the 70. And this is where it gets interesting because now middle position re-raises to 250.
All right. So
Um,
small blind bets small blind with the $500 stack, or now he's got 450. He bets 70. Okay.
correct. Yeah,
Hero calls, which I think that's pretty consistent with what you're trying to do, right? I don't know why
right.
you would raise, to get the other
Correct.
guy out. And now this guy makes it 220,
250.
250. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
The small blind thinks a little bit. He ends up calling, and I call again. I mean, there's no other play
Small
here
blind
but just call.
just calls, or does he call in for
He just
less? He's got still
no,
still
he
got
just
money.
calls.
Okay.
He's still got like $200 left.
Okay.
He just
Hero calls. Okay. So you put in 750 here on the flop, so the pot's like 900, right?
correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
The turn, the five of hearts, and this is where the hand kind of, at least for me, it gets like really kind of shitty, to be honest. Um, Small blind checks again. I check, and now middle position bets 600, which obviously is I mean, it's almost, I mean, it's a two-thirds pot size bet. It just seems very polarized. And I don't see any bluffs really there aren't many bluffs really that I can see here. I'm just thinking, oh my God, like did he limp with twos or threes or sevens or, something like this. And now
So
I'm just going to get stacked.
the small blind calls off, right? All in for
He
remaining
does, yeah.
change. Okay.
He calls
So,
up for,
right, for like
and
200 or something like that.
yeah,
So the pot's
uh,
17, right? So this guy bets 600 on the turn after raising a deuce 3-7 flop, just limp calling. He raises deuce 3-7. Very dry board, by the way, to raise, right? Like with just a straight set,
Correct.
like no flush
Right.
draw. He bet 600
Right.
on a 5 of hearts turn. Small blind calls all off for 200. So the pot's like 1700, and it's
Right.
600 for you to call. So you're getting 3-1 here. You have to be good here 1 out of 4 times, and it looks like you guys have about 1300 left. I can't really see folding now. I understand it looks kind of crazy because small blind's in there, but whenever I'm in these spots from out of position getting a price, and this is 600 for 1700, I would just ask myself, well, am I good here 1 out of 4 times where this might go check, check? The other thing about your hand is it's not like you're necessarily holding on with just like, you know, 7-6 or pocket eights where
Right.
somebody can have future equity and they can just draw out on you. If you've got aces here, it's hard to draw out on you. I mean, obviously you could be beat, but I would, I think you're also protected by the fact that the small blind is now all in. So whenever you get into these situations, like if you call here, right, the pot will be 2,300. Right. Okay. And you'll basically have sort of 800 on the side if I'm correct, because
Right.
have a side pot. But I still feel like you're protected by the small blind here a little bit. It's not quite the same as if there was no side pot, but whenever you're in a multi-way situation and there's a small side pot in comparison to what the total pot size is, you are protected somewhat by the player that's all in, because your opponent should have a far less of a bluffing frequency, because there's less for him to win because he has to beat the other guy that's in the hand, right?
Right. Right. Which, in all fairness, is exactly what I thought when I decided I'm going to make this call and evaluate the river. My question, though, to you is, before we go to the river, is what's the if he does actually make an aggressive bet, in your opinion here? Like, what would you do if you're faced then with another aggressive action on the river?
Well, you guys look like you've got about 1,600 left and the pot's 2,300. Obviously, it's going to depend on what the river is. Although,
right,
if the river is like a 4, if the river is a 6, I think maybe you can find, a fold that would, but it's interesting because there's going to be there's going to be a lot of blank rivers, especially if the board pairs too.
right.
So yeah, I think it's one of these you is the bet again enough like change the fact that, we've got a protected, again, it's not going against any type of theory saying that, okay, hey, I'm going to call here and I need to be good here 1 out of 4 times and then have it go check, check. You could call and check fold the river with a brick coming here at the end. It's not illogical. Like it's still a logical approach, because basically what you're saying by calling the turn is that I'm going to call, and I think 1 out of 4 times I have the best hand and I'm not going to face a bet on the river. So I call.
Correct.
Nothing changes, but I do face a bet on the river. That's change enough. Now I'm going to fold. I think that people misconstrue that. They think, oh, if you call the turn, you have to call the river when nothing changes. Well, it's an underbluff spot because the other guy's all in, and the bet again is change enough. So yeah, I might check fold to an all in. It's really going to depend on the texture of the card and things like that. So you call. All right, let's go to the river.
I call the river's the 10 of clubs.
All right, so that doesn't change anything.
Doesn't change anything. I check, and the villain jams. And I'll be honest with you, like in my mind, I thought, listen, I'm going to call, and then I'm just going to fold if he jams. Like if I'm getting if you bet 6, 7, 800, maybe I might call, but if he's jamming, I'm going to fold. And then
so it's 3,900, 1,600 for you to call, right?
Correct, 1,500, I think, for me to call.
Yeah.
And I'm, at this point, I'm like, okay, well, I was really close to folding, and then I just started thinking, I kind of leveled myself into thinking, wait a second, like he may do this just to, he breaks even if I fold and he wins the side pot.
Why? Because there's 800 in the side, you mean?
Yeah, because there's 800 in the side, which I know is terrible logic.
What's the bluff? Like, what is he? Trying to go back to the flop on 7-3 deuce. Like, what's the bluff? 4-5?
There is no, yeah. I mean, I guess that was the only bluff would be like 4 or 5. Yeah,
I mean, the other thing too is that if he can logically have, sometimes these guys limp in with sevens too. I mean, he could just have like 9 sets here, and that
yeah,
might. And then when you're
yeah,
trying to find the bluff, I mean, if you have 9 sets here, and now the pot is like, it's 1,600 for you to call for 3,900, right? So you're getting like 2.5
right,
to 1. You're getting 2.5 to 1, which means that he needs to have less than 2.5 to 1 of as a ratio of value, meaning that if he had 2 times more value than bluffs and you're getting 2.5 to 1, it's a call, right? If he's got 2.5,
right.
value to bluffs, then it's break even. If he has 9 combos of sets, let's just say it's 3 to 1 to make it easy, then we would have to find like 3 combos of bluffs, just actually a little bit more than that, like maybe 3.2 combos of bluffs to break even. Do we have that?
I don't
Betting
think we
into
have
somebody
that,
else at the end?
I don't think I have. No, I don't think I have that. But I do think that he is the type of player who could overvalue maybe like tens, jacks, queens.
Well,
Like he could overvalue
tens runs into a set though, right? So that
Sorry.
makes sense.
Well, yeah, tens.
Yeah.
That's correct. Sorry. Maybe nines, jacks, queens, even.
And jam the
He
end?
never had. Yeah, I mean, he was such a super action player. Like I've seen him play a lot of terrible hands, and he was crushing the table basically. He's beating everyone.
By the way, I just have
And
I have to interject here. I said, I'm not trying to get after this guy personally, but degenerate it in the live chat. If you're folding the river, why are you calling the turn? What did I just talk about for the last 3 minutes? I don't understand. So what did you? What ended up happening, Sean?
I mean, I ended up sort of talking myself into a stupid call, which actually turned out to be the right play because he had 4 or 5 of diamonds. But yeah, I didn't do it with any logic really.
Wow,
I kind of was more.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, listen, the math would say, hey, can you find 3.2 bluffs here if he has all 9? But then again, it's maybe not even that clear cut because you don't know if he's going to open sevens. If you were to say, hey, how about this? If it's a little bit, this would probably be a little bit more reasonable. 6 of the 9 possible sets, because that will assume that some might be raised pre-flop and they might not all be played fast this way. Or you could even go down to 4 too. You were say 7's going to be open, then you've got 6, and maybe only 2/3 are going to be played fast this way. If you said, oh, he's got 4 values, so it can be between 4 value combos, 4 to 6 value combos, right?
Right.
Or let's just say, yeah, 4 to 6. Then you need to find, 1 to 2 bluffs basically, and it depends. It would probably be like slightly over 2 bluffs if there were 6 value combos, and maybe 1.5 bluffs if there were 4 value combos. You're just looking for the ratio that's going to basically give you the pot odds. Did the small blind ever show the hand, by the way?
Yeah, he had queens.
He had queens.
Yeah, he was very interested. He had queens. Yeah.
All right, Sean, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. If you like what you've seen here, please hit the subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this call-in hand, hit the like button down below. To check out crushlivepoker.com, click on the link in the description. Use the code YTA300 to get the first 30 days for free.